So I had the opportunity today to go thrifting or shopping with some friends from work just before our Christmas lunch today. And one of the friends, Amy, bought a pair of pants that is a little bit long and needs to hem them up. So this video is for Amy, and I'm calling it Hems for Amy. So Amy, I hope this is really useful for you. I'm going to show you a few different options, and then I'll show you the technique we use as well. All right, let me get started. So first of all, hems are made in different ways for lots of different purposes. So there's no right or wrong. You just need to select the right hem for the right purpose. Now, for example, this white linen shirt has quite a wide hem on the cuff and also on the waist. It's 5 centimeters plus a centimeter of turning. And the reason that is so wide is because the hem is actually a design feature. On this top, so that white shirt is rayon. That white shirt is a linen shirt. This top here is a rayon top, and it has a very small hem. And the reason the hem on this one is so small, and it is 1 centimeter plus half a centimeter of turning, is because the rayon is a really fluid fabric, and by having a small hem, it allows the fluidity in the fabric to remain. If you made a really big hem on this, it wouldn't be so fluid. It's not to say that rayon shouldn't be made with a big hem, because sometimes you want a bit more of a structured finish on a garment that is made in rayon, but this particular top is supposed to sort of swing around your hips a little, and so the hem is quite narrow on it. So a narrower hem has been chosen. Another example is this pair of pants. I actually wore these pair of pants to lunch today, and just measuring it, it has a 2.5 centimeter hem on the bottom, and I don't remember the turning on it. It looks like it might be half a centimeter on that one. And then I have another little top that I also wore today, and this one has, similar to the rayon, this one has a 1 centimeter hem with a 5 millimeter turn on the inside. So hems can be whatever size you like, and you would change it depending on the result that you want and whether it's going to be a design feature or not, and depending on the amount of structure that a garment has or the amount of flowiness that you'd like in the garment. So I'm going to do just a sample on a piece here that I have. This is literally just a scrap of fabric, and I'm going to, I probably should even iron it, but I'm not going to do that for today. So when you're working out how long you should cut a pair of pants or any item, it's really good to use pins and just turn it up and pin it, and then see if you like the look on that. And then if it doesn't work, adjust the pins, and then you can obviously try it on again and keep trying it on a number of times until you work out exactly how long you want it to be. The pants that you looked at today, Amy, I sort of recommended a 2 centimeter hem. You could probably go 2.5 if you wanted to, and then maybe another centimeter to turn. So 3 to 3.5 centimeters, wherever you put that turn on your pants, from the fold line, you need to measure 3 or 3.5 centimeters down, and then just make sure you cut that evenly across. If when you unpick the hem, or because they need to come up quite a bit, you could actually just measure from the baseline of the pant, work out how far, so you work out the 3.5 extra, and then measure from the bottom of the pants, how far up is it to that point. And then that's the amount that you cut off all the way around. And you can literally just hold your ruler on it, and then just cut that distance around the bottom of the pants till it's right. Once you've done the cut, then you do a turn. And so I'm going to do this example at 2 centimeters, and I just use a ruler to measure it. And once you get a bit of it happening, it makes it quite easy. So you just turn to 2 centimeters, and you just keep putting the ruler on it until it gets to the 3 centimeters, because we want a centimeter of turn as well. So that one there is now measured at 3 centimeters. And because I also want to turn this edge, I'm putting the pin down low, close to the fold. And then I'm going to go along a bit further at 3 centimeters. And I'm just going to put pins in all the way around that hemline. Your pants would be easiest if you turn them inside out, and then that fold line will be on the outside of the pants. Now, once you've done the 3 centimeters all the way around, and I'll check that last bit to make sure it's right as well, then you can turn it so that you're holding it in your hands like this, and just use your thumbs to fold under that extra centimeter. And again, depending on the item that you're hemming, obviously your measurements may change. Now that actually falls right on 2 centimeters. So then I'm going to move my pin, and then I can use both my eye and the ruler to check that that's at 2 centimeters. And I'm just going to pin it all the way around the bottom of the leg of the pants. Sometimes, depending on the fabric that you're using, it's a good idea to use the ruler, but sometimes you also have to use your eye. And sometimes things will shift just a little bit, but it's important that the ruler is correct, but it's more important that your eye is correct. And so you can see now that I've pinned that all the way across that line, and I'm just going to show you very quickly the stitch that you would use as a hemming stitch. My mum used to always call it a V stitch. It probably has an official name. I don't know what it is, but it's what I call as a V stitch. So finding a needle and thread, we're going to go with my tulip needle. And needles vary a lot. I always just pick the best needle for the job. I don't have a particular type of needle that I use, and it would be depending on what I'm sewing. So what I'm going to do is, usually we do this on the seam line on the side of the pants, and usually I start on the inside of the leg, but you could start on the outside, it doesn't matter. And you can either tie a knot or just a couple of stitches to hold it so that it doesn't move. And then what you do is you do a stitch into the pant leg off the hem, so onto the fabric here, off the hem bit, and I'm just picking up 1 or 2 of those threads. It's just the tiniest little bit. Once I've done that, I then run the needle through the seam line, so it actually hides in that fold. And you want to go along about 1 centimeter. It is possible to thread the needle further than that, but you have a less secure hem if you go too far. And then again, you just pick up another couple of threads. Then you go through the seam again in that fold, about 1 centimeter, and you just pick up a couple of threads. And then again through the fold, getting rid of the pins, and then picking up a couple of threads. And you just repeat that all the way around. If you run out of thread on the way, you just finish the thread off in the fold somewhere, do a couple of stitches to hold it so it doesn't undo, and then start another one by restitching in that fold so it holds again, and you can just keep going. If you have the choice, try and finish it on the seam line, but sometimes thread doesn't work in that way. And you just again picking up those couple, and you just continue all the way around. On a pair of pants, it's pretty quick because the leg usually isn't terribly far around. If it's on a circle skirt, it can take a while, but it's just a hemming stitch. And on the outside, you can't see it. You might see a tiny little dot where I've picked up those couple of threads, but not very much at all. And obviously you use a matching thread, and I would use, on this one here, because white is so prevalent in the design, I've used white, but you just use the most common color in the fabric that you're using. So I think in those ones you bought today probably would be, I think it was black. And then obviously I haven't stitched it off, but you just stitch it off. Maybe I should show you that. So on the fold, you just do a stitch and then pick up the loop and then do another one and pick up the loop. I lost the loop that time. We'll do one more loop. I take the pin out because it got caught on that, and then I'm going to thread it back through the fold again, and then I'm just going to pull it just a little bit so that it, when I cut it, it disappears back in. Yeah, and that will hold your hem, and that's quite a sturdy stitch. Yeah, so I call it V-stitch, and if you have questions, let me know. People watching on my channel, this is Create, Quilt and Make with Kate, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have as well. And with hems, there's so many different ways that you can hem. You can run a machine around it, of course. You can fold it at whatever length or depth you think the hem should be, depending on the garment, and sometimes you make a feature of it. You can, yeah, lots of different ways, but that's one of the most common ways that I've used. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll put this up on YouTube for you now.